Shalom, shalom, shalom. Giving all the praise, the glory, and the honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baharakah Kodash. Double honors and salutations to the apostles of Great Millstone, um, and all those souls out there, the hopeful elect. Shalom. Hey, I'm going to try to do the best I can do with this lesson, just freestyling it. But we're going to get a scripture and play this video with this Grandmaster Flash, Grandmaster J, whatever you want to call this nigga. This fake ass, this wannabe, this Mason trying to earn his stripes, this deceiver, this black demon. So we're gonna go into Ecclesiastes. Let's see if we can find this. We're gonna go into some history about what this guy, everything that's been played out in the past is being played out again in these times. And this guy is being used as a vessel to create narratives to come against the Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And you're going to have Israelites that look like the other nations as well, that look like so-called white people, so-called Arabs, so-called Indians, East Indians, so-called Asians. But let's see. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. So let's go into Nero, pretty much saying that, there's nothing new under the sun. The thing which hath been, it is to be. So these things were all done before. When you go into the so-called white man, which is true nationality, is an Edomite, according to these scriptures, which tell you all about this guy. He's been working these different psyopses for centuries now, going back to his forefathers, the Greeks, the Romans, even till now, they've been doing the same thing. So we're going to read up on this guy. We're going to watch this first to get an understanding of what I'm trying to say, because this guy is bought and paid for. This is why he's pushing that black agenda. The word black is a color which has to do with everything void of light, darkness, wickedness, and white is pure and clean, perfect. So it's a play on words, and to push this vibration out on you Israelites, you so-called black people, because you're not black. You're of one of the tribes of Israel. There's 12 tribes, which make up a whole nation, different tribes that the Heavenly Father ordained from the beginning. You have so-called Latinos and Native Americans. They're not so-called black. So he's trying to divide and conquer and set the narrative for the so-called white man to fulfill his agenda, to maketh us a desolation in the earth, like he's never been able to fully complete. Even in his past, he's never been able to fully complete this, because the Heavenly Father has been in control of this thing, man, allowing us to be jacked up but not to be destroyed. So let's play a little bit of this. And when we finish this, we're going to read into this guy named Nero, one of their forefathers, a so-called Roman, so-called white man or Edomite, who did the same thing of what's being played out now. Set us up so we could be persecuted in the ancient world, going back to ancient Jerusalem when we were still in our homeland. A false flag, pretty much. Ancient world martial law. So we're going to go into that. Let's play this.
And they said they were gonna kill, right? The GBI said they were gonna kill. Until somebody that worked in the GBI told them. So I told the world, turned all y'all into killers. And they let that go. Then KKK got mad because we went to McBride's house, and we went to McMichael's house with the killer. And then we told them we shot the Klan up, so they mad.
That all black, that goes back to Saturnalia, a Roman Greek god who they worship, and this is why you see those rats, these fake Jews, they wear all black, Going back to the worship of Satan, man. Worshiping the idol of Saturn. This is why you have Saturday. Because we're under these pagan. We're under the rulership of these heathens. You know, so there's different vibrations he's pushing. This guy is brown skinned, but he's pushing the narrative of being black. That whole Africa, Mother Africa shit. Well, guess what? We're not from Africa. We're from what they so-call the Middle East, that geographical location, Jerusalem. We're from that land. The Lord gave us that land, you know. So, you know, he's pushing that whole, now we did dwell amongst that continent. We dwelt within that continent. You have something called migration patterns, you know. So let's continue.
Everybody told me don't come there. Y'all don't want to know how many motherfuckers told me go there and they go kill me. Straight up, these people that had my back. I said, you know what? I don't believe that shit true. I'm a child of y'all. I didn't put myself on this mission. I didn't create in that face.
So now he's saying, he's using a psyops, which means mind control. He's saying that the Most High, Yahweh, put him on this mission. Now he's claiming to be established and chosen, you know, because the scriptures say that the elect, the 144,000 and the 1/3 of the nation of Israel will be gathered in the last days and delivered. So he's saying that you got to come up under, in fact, mind you this, to be a Hebrew Israelite, you can't, you know, we don't shave our beards. Scriptures say, grow your beard. Don't shave your head bald. This dude is a high-level Mason, and there's pictures floating around with this guy, you know, and these are facts. He's ran for president. He's taking pictures with Trump. He just came out of nowhere. This guy, he's a DJ, and he just jumps on the scene as the leader of Israel. Now he's using terminology like Yah, the 12 tribes of Israel. He's joining himself onto this movement, which is not a movement of men. This thing is of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shah. But see, this thing has been infiltrated by the so-called white man. This is why you have so many different other Israelite camps and groups, because you have men who are actual agents for the feds, but then you have men who are agents for these spiritual demons by default that just take upon themselves to fill their own bellies and go out and create these movements, who are carnal men who pick up guns. You know, you have men that are bought and paid for, and that's a whole nother topic, man. You know, there's proofs behind all of this, but I'm trying to stick to the script. So this guy is being bought and paid for. You know, when we go into Nero, what he did, you can read this up about 65 A.D. during the time of Rome, when they were in their rulership. He staged a false flag of the burning down of the city, and blaming what? The Israelites, so they could come in and fully destroy the ancient nation or cities of Israel, you know, to create the narratives. And that's the title of this lesson, you know, the narratives, creative narratives, you know. Let's continue. So this dude is joining himself, and this is all just a Masonic ritual that's taking place. He's being bought and paid for to create division, to create fear, to create the narratives, you know. And when we read these scriptures, it's going to back up, you know, it's going to back it up, you know. So let's what's this?
I said, you know what? I don't believe that shit true. I'm a child of y'all. I didn't put myself on this mission. I didn't create NFAC. I didn't touch all you motherfuckers. He did. So I figured if I'm supposed to come down here and get killed, that's the way the book is written. You can't escape your destiny. I'm either gonna get killed here, or I'm gonna get killed in Louisville, or I'm gonna get killed somewhere else when they fucking up. But I'm cool with that. You know why? Service, job well done. Alright? I'd rather die for one of y'all than to die over some bullshit. So I'm here.
Okay, so what about, you know, where was you at with these last niggas that got killed? It was a nigga, I forget his name. He was sleeping in the middle of a drive-thru at a restaurant, and he got blown away, shot in the back. Where was you at? You was totally quiet. So like a brother said, I think it was Malcolm, other brother Malcolm, how many more niggas need to die? I'm sure there's niggas died today, yesterday, by the hands of the police. How many more before you guys just move and go ahead? The Lord said the weapons of our warfare are not spiritual, which there's this movement, are not carnal, but spiritual. We're not carnal. We don't need to pick up arms. The Lord is going to go before us in battle, which nobody's scared, which, our people are in that spirit of we have to be tough. Well, going to war is not about the one that's the loudest one, man. The one that stands out. It's about the one who makes the wisest move, strategy, man. And sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes you have to make peace. Sometimes you have to be patient. You have to wait. You have to, make the right movements before you actually go upon attack. You may need to go around the mountain and come back and do a surprise attack, man. Catch your enemy off guard. There's different tactical, movements in a war, man. The word war just means to go against, So let's finish this.
KKK show up? Hell no. Did we go out that bitch deep? Hell no. Go out that bitch to kill him? Hell no. So you want me to give you a good one? We just showed the fucking world that all this singing and shit doesn't get you in this fucking thing. The only language they understand is this shit right here. Yes. So that's what I found out. This shit's all over the fucking everybody.
Well, I don't have time to go through it, but I'll speak the scriptures out because I want to get back to the topic. The gun or the weapon, the sword, was given as a blessing from Isaac, which, if you can understand, which this is meat, it's kind of heavy, but was Yahweh Shai, or whom you ignorantly call Jesus, gave him, the so-called white man, his blessing, Esau, which is the sword, which the modern day sword is the gun, right? So that's his blessing. One second. You Israelites were giving the blessing of the kingdom, which is the birthright, which spiritual powers, rulership of the entire universe forever. After a series of events took place, after the fall of the last nation to arrive into rulership, which was this modern Roman empire, which we're in now, the so-called white man, Esau. That's why it tells you in Esdras that the beginning of Esau, the beginning of Jacob thereof, is the end of Esau's world. When you go into Genesis, how Jacob held Esau's heel when he came out the womb, was symbolic for us taking him down by the through the Spirit, starting with this word being preached, and then the Lord will come and physically manifest and take him down and raise up the elect at the same time, and endow us with spiritual powers, So that's our blessing, is to wait ye upon the Lord, be still, So let's go to, we're going to go to get this little information on this wicked motherfucker, Nero. Damn, what did I do? Well, I just told you about Nero, but this is leading up. This is 70 CE, Common Era, you could say AD. This is what happened after around 65 AD of Nero. You can look this guy up yourself. What he did to stage a destruction of the Roman cities, to stage it and blame the Israelites because he wanted to persecute Jake. in the ancient world. And this is the same narratives they're using now. As a matter of fact, let me see. Um, you know, these riots, everybody knows if you've been paying attention, there's a lot of these devils are being exposed because so-called white people they had found were looting, were starting the whole situation with the looting, breaking out the windows of these buildings, these these businesses, setting them on fire. You know, there was videos of big crates of bricks just being out there in the middle of the street for rioters to come by and pick up. No construction zones at all, just bricks. And you had certain so-called black people, protesters, you know, uploading these videos showing that look, it's not us. It's look at these bricks just sitting here. They want us to throw them. Cop cars in the middle of the street so they can destroy them. So pretty much you Israelites were just following these agent provocateurs. And you were falling into the narrative that they're trying to set for you. But this guy right here, because you had Israelites in the ancient Greek and Roman Empire. Matter of fact, this picture you're looking at is one of the artifacts from that period of time. Just like Israelites in this modern society are praised through entertainment, gladiatorial sports, different stuff like that. It was like that in that realm too. But here is this guy right here. This devil is a pure example of exactly what we're talking about. This guy right here, a cop. When you watch the actual video of that target at the beginning of the riots, this guy, he had an umbrella on, he had the mask on, and he was running around breaking out all the windows, vandalizing, you know. And I guess so-called black kid recognized him from the police department, said, "Hey man, what the fuck you doing? The fuck you doing? They gonna think it's us doing this shit, you know." So that's what you call an agent provocateur. These guys are set up to bring about the agenda of creating the narratives. So when the so-called white man wants to fully roll on you, it'll be well accepted among the nations or among the people that's being fed full of this propaganda to say, look, all right, well, they had to do that. They had to gun down they have to go in and attack these beast-like people, these animalistic-like people. There's no bargaining with these people because they want to get real lethal with you, man. So they're creating these narratives. Let's go back to this and start reading. In 63 BCE, the Roman general, now this is BCE, Pompey captured Jerusalem. The Romans ruled through a local client king and largely allowed free religious practice in Judea, at times divide between monotheistic and polytheistic religious views caused clashes between the Jews and Gentiles. So right here, this is just Jews and Gentiles is just talking about those Israelites who were keeping the customs, wearing the garments, keeping the laws. And then you had the other sect of Israelites that were in that Roman or in that Greek mind state. Because there was a saying during this time, do ye as the Greeks or, as the Romans, speaking the language of the Roman, Latin and all that madness, following them different idols and gods. You had Israelites that didn't give a damn about their heritage. Some of them didn't know. Some of them that were scattered in the other lands, some of them did know. This faction combined with oppressive taxation. And a matter of fact, let's look up that word Gentile. Let's pull that up. From Latin, gentilis, of or belonging to the same people or nation. From gens, clan, tribe, people, family. See? So that's actually what it means. Of the same genus or nation. You think of Gentile, you're thinking about an Asian and a so-called white man. So, that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about there's two Gentiles. There's a natural Gentile, which are the actual heathens and nations outside of the 12 tribes of Israel. And then there's Israelite foreigner Gentile who were totally estranged from the Commonwealth, that they were given by the Heavenly Father, which the scriptures actually tell you exactly what I just said, you know, which is not hard to understand. You have so-called black people in America that's totally engulfed within, the corporate realm, entertainment realm, that are total sellouts, man, that hate their own people, you know. It says it is a term usually means someone who is not a Jew. That's the other Gentile. You know what I'm saying? You real Jews that the Bible speak of are you so-called Negroes, you Haitians, you Jamaicans, you so-called African Americans. You know, which this is not accurate. They're gonna throw that out there, but they're actually right because you do have the two meanings. Which the first meaning we got is the actual meaning, because amongst these other nations, you do have the same tribes or tribes and families and clans amongst them, but as well as the Israelites. So that's what it's talking about. Other groups that claim Israelite heritage sometimes use the term to describe outsiders. See, yeah, they do that. But let's get back to the point. It says this friction combined with oppressive taxation and unwanted imperialism culminated in 66 CE in the first Jewish revolt. The revolt was successful at first. So you had them zealots. They were called zealots, where the Lord came on the scene. He was on the scene around the 30 ADs, teaching the gospel, raising up the apostles. They were street preaching. This is why so much hell was breaking loose, and so many spirits were being turned up. So many, brows were being turned up with the Roman authorities because of the street preaching, going out preaching and converting our people. You know what I'm saying? They were getting stirred up. They were rebelling. And amongst them sects, you had the zealots, which were carnal men. They didn't necessarily listen to the spiritual aspect of what the Lord was saying. When ye shall see the abomination of desolation, flee ye to the mountains, which was talking about the Romans coming in and sacking the city and killing the infants and the people and the old women and the children. Flee, which in that time you had to have a spiritual mind to see, because they were cut off guard. The Romans had a plan to catch them off guard and to besiege the city, which they're doing that now. This is why we got that scripture saying that which had been is to be. So it says this was culminating before 70 AD. This is when the actual martial law, ancient world martial law, was established. Which had also happened during the Greek Empire as well. So these devils, these Edomites, have always been at you Israelites' neck, and it's getting ready to happen again. But this time they want to fully annihilate you as a nation and erase you, man, with this new world order. You're not accepted in this new world order. They want to get rid of you totally, whether you know you're Israelite or not. So you're coming against the men of the Lord is for naught, man. It's for nothing. It says the friction combined with oppressive taxation and unwanted imperialism culminated in 66 CE, because in these times the Romans were trying to force their their power in Judea, which they already had set up certain puppet leaders like the Herodian line, but they had to fully take control of the city. So now you have zealots raising up like, nah, they ain't gonna we ain't gonna lay down. And the Lord gave them a way out to survive this attack. So they were all put to death. And those who listened to them as well got put to death. The revolt, so the revolt, that's what this revolt is talking about. Those zealots, that sect of men and women, and that were being carnal and not spiritual, not in tune with the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. It says the revolt was successful at first. So at first it was successful. Like you niggas out here, you in fact niggas, you think that you doing something. Nah, you're playing into the narrative. Like that guy Nero, you're playing into the setup, man. You're playing yourself. You know, you're going against the prophecy, man. What the scriptures say is going to happen. So you're bound to lose. The Lord is in every battle. You know, Jewish forces quit. It says the revolt was successful at first. Jewish forces quickly expelled the Romans from Jerusalem. Yeah, because the Romans didn't fully have their hold yet, man. They were trying to get a hold by putting their forces, you know, like having the modern day cops in your city and you run the cops out. You know, quickly expelled the Romans from Jerusalem, and a revolutionary government was formed that extended its influence into the surrounding area. In response, the Roman Emperor Nero sent General Vespasian to meet the Jewish forces. So Nero is this guy, look him up. He, prior, I believe it was around 65 AD, he had already set the narratives that these people are trouble. They're burning down cities and buildings, man. You know. So he sent Vespasian to meet the Jewish forces, and an endeavor that pushed the majority of the rebels into Jerusalem. By the time Vespasian was proclaimed emperor in 69 CE. So in 70 AD, it was fully Jerusalem was fully taken. This is why you have that book from Timbuktu to Babylon, where it tells you that over 1 million so-called black Jews fled into the interiors of Africa, and we went all over. We went east, we went north, we went west. It was a big diaspora because we fled these Romans, man, during this time. Now this guy Vespasian wasn't the actual one to be able to defeat the Jewish forces. It was actually a guy, I believe his name is something like Tiberius or something like that. Well, he was a so-called Jake. He was a so-called Israelite who worked for the Romans. He was a traitor. You know, he wanted nothing to do with his own people. That's why when you go up in this article, it talks about the Jews and the Gentiles. You actually had Israelites that didn't want nothing to do with that custom, man. They wanted to live as seek the benefit of the Romans and the Greeks. Like today, you want to be where the money at? You want to be with the winner? That's the mindset they had, you know. And so he strategized. He helped Vespasian and Titus strategize their plan of how they would take down the Jewish forces, which the Jewish forces dealt with something called guerrilla warfare, where they run right up on your ass. So they had to come with a solid strategy. You can look this up. It says April, the fall of Jerusalem, 70 CE or AD, about that time of the Passover, the Roman general Titus besieged Jerusalem. Since that action coincided with the Passover, the Romans allowed pilgrims to enter into the city but refused to let them leave. So pretty much what they did, they allowed all the Israelites that were migrating from the other lands they were in, whether it was Asia, India, Greece, to come keep the Passover that one time a year, which they would do every year. They waited until they came in so they'll be locked in the city, and when they besieged the city, hey, they killed 10 birds with one stone. You know. Now this is what I'm getting to, because you modern day zealots or rebels, you're setting yourself up, because this is what happened during the siege, man. It says, and you can go to Acts 2, the 2nd chapter, to prove that these Israelites that were keeping the customs of the other nations that they were born in, that their foreparents or their parents had migrated to and they were born in, or whether they migrated to just, you know, that they were actually Israelites, but they were keeping the customs and speaking the languages of the other nations. We may go there after we finish this point. It says, allow pilgrims to enter into the city but refuse to let them leave. So the Romans, once they besieged the city, you couldn't leave. And guess what? That's going to come here real soon. They're going to start cutting off these cities. This is a light martial law. We're going to go into hardcore effect real soon. They're gradually easing you people into it, and you can't see it. This is why they're using gradualism. It's like a frog in hot water. You know what I'm saying? They won't start jumping around until the water's boiling and shit. You know? Look that up. Yeah, get the hell away from me, man. The Romans allowed pilgrims to enter into the city but refused to let them leave, thus strategically depleting the food and water supplies within Jerusalem. So there was no water coming in or out. So now the food sources were depleted. You could see them tightening up on the food now. They're cutting off the farmers under the narrative of COVID-19 and shit. You know, within the walls, the zealots, these are these rebels, a militant anti-Roman party struggled with other Jewish factions that had emerged. So these zealots, all of the Israelites that were within the cities that wasn't on that tip, now they had beef with them because they wanted everybody to be on this anti-Roman militant mindset. You know, let's see what happened with that mindset, what they did to themselves and everybody around them, how they got everybody destroyed, which weakened the resistance even more. So this weakened the resistance because you have Israelite on Israelite, then you have the Roman forces besieging, encamping themselves about the cities to cut them off as well. Josephus, a Jew, again, which proves the narrative, which I keep telling you about the Gentiles actually being Israelites, being Israelite foreigners. This guy named Josephus, a lot of this information comes from, he was pretty much a scribe, a historian, and he wrote and documented everything. The Romans allowed him, spared his life and allowed him to document everything. This is how you know about a lot of history. You know, you always have somebody to write it and narrate it. So Josephus, it says a Jew. He was actually an Israelite, but he had a Roman name. He had a surname, and that's how a lot of the Israelites went at that time. Just like in modern time, you know, a lot of us brothers have surnames. We have our names, our government names, you know what I'm saying, in the world, then we have our Hebrew names. Josephus, a Jew who had commanded rebel forces, but then defected to the Roman cause, attempted to negotiate a settlement, but because he was not trusted by the Romans and was despised by the rebels, the talks went nowhere. The Romans encircled the city with a wall to cut off supplies to the city completely and thereby drive the Jews to starvation. Now, this is a commemoration of that event. It's called the Ark of Titus. You know, that the Edomites. So how are you the Jews and the Romans? You so-called white people, when you came into the temple and stole everything, you destroyed the land. Now you're on our land claiming to be us. How are you the Jews and the goddamn Romans? You know, in Salakia, you have to do that searching on yourself about these rebels going into the siege of Jerusalem, because I want to switch the narratives. I want to go into the scripts now, but that information I got was from another source. Right here, I just wanted to kind of bring out some things, hit some pointers. But yeah, them zealots, man, they what they did was they burned all of the food stores. You know, they wanted to take control of all the food stores so they can control, you know, among the other sects of Israelites within the cities, because they were on that rah-rah militant spirit. They burned out all their food stores, majority of them, amongst their enemies, amongst their other fellow Israelites. You know, so when it came time, you know, and they were being sieged for a certain period of time, and it just went on and went on and went on. They were being cut off by the Romans. They couldn't bring in food, water, nothing. Nothing could go in and come out. Now the quarrel between one another and them burning down all the food sources, being carnal, guess what? They had no more food. So they were weakening from inside out. People were starving. So by the time the Romans decided to actually break into the city and to put everybody to death, they were already weakened. So let's go to some stuff you got to look up yourself. There's no way, it'll take 10-hour video, man, to bring this out. And I'm just freestyling this. So let's go into insurgency. It was something that said insurgency. Salakia. Let's see. talks about, here it is. Let's go back. It says the fall of the city marked the effective conclusion of a 4-year campaign against the Jewish insurgency. That word insurgency, let's look it up. So the Romans have been campaigning, just going back and forth with this Jewish, with them rebels, with them zealots, man. Let's see what the word, it says the Jewish insurgency. So this had been a ongoing thing before they finally moved in and put a end to it. It says is a violent rebellion against authority when those taking part in a rebellion are recognized as belligerents. You know, so it's a rebellion. Let's see what the Lord said about rebellion in these times, because there's a look. We have the script to this movie we call life, man. The scriptures, man. This is the script to this movie, which it tells us how it's going to play out. So if you go outside of that, you're going to be destroyed. The prophecy's not going to be destroyed. You're going to be destroyed. Let's get Matthew 24, man. First, let's get Baruch. Let's get the book of Baruch. Let's see what the scriptures say, man. Salakia for, this being so long, so much talking, but if you can be patient and watch all the way through, you'll see, you'll start to see the picture that's being painted. 4 and 21. Well, we're almost done with this. Baruch 4 and 21. Be of good cheer, O my children. Who are the children? You Israelites. Cry unto the Lord, and he will deliver you from the power of the hand of your enemies. So that's what we're doing. That's all we've been required to do. Cry unto the Lord. Unto the true name. That matters, man. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it. Psalms 91. It don't say nothing about picking up arms. And there's so many scriptures I can't even almost get them. And I'm going to actually breeze through this, which it's a lot of meat on this bone that I'm not going to get because I don't want to make this too long. We're going to go up in this chapter. It's the Lord that did this to us as a nation. So it's the Lord that has to take us out of this situation. It's the Lord that gave the so-called white man his blessing, his technology. It's all over the scriptures, in Genesis and Revelations. The power over the earth. Job 9:24, he gave him everything, man. Why? To fulfill this movie, the script to this movie, which is called prophecy. Fulfill these prophecies. So this movie can play out how the Lord wants it to play out. The villain, the good guy, the super villain. So it's not going to play out with some guy that has his own agenda. You know what I'm saying? It says, for he hath brought, this is 15, a nation upon them from afar, a shameless nation of a strange language, who neither reference old man nor pity child. Yeah, the Romans, they spoke Latin. And when a white man came in doing his thing at during the Renaissance period, taking down the nation of Israel, he was speaking English. He was speaking Spanish, which he wasn't the true Europeans, man, because you so-called Negroes ruled Europe for 1,000 years. He had to take you down in Europe and the other parts of the lands you were in, which they don't tell you in history. You civilized him. That's another lesson. But so it's the Lord that brought these people against us, man. For our own punishment. Let's get to 6. Ye were sold to the nations not for your destruction, but because ye moved God, or Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, to wrath. You were delivered unto your enemies. Yeah. So the Lord took the might and the power out of our hands to be able to fight, and raised up the spirit. He turned up the dial on these heathens, so that we can be taken down, because we're clearly superior to them. So that's not going to change all of a sudden. It says Baruch 3 and 8, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us. Who is that thou? Is the Lord scattered us for a reproach and a curse Yeah, we're reproaching the curse. This is why you begging for equality, man. To be subject to payments. This is why you're in poverty. Seem like every time you get paid, that shit go out the window. You don't know. It's a bill popping up, man. Because you're subject to this FRN, which is subject to these elite bankers, which is the so-called white man, Esau Edom, which the Bible talks about. The wicked, man. The scriptures call them the wicked. You know, according to all the iniquity of our fathers. Yeah, because our forefathers went off, and we're reaping the benefit. We're reaping what our forefathers sowed, and that was rebellion against Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, which departed from the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So let's go to Matthew 24. Because the scriptures say the weapons of our warfare are not carnal but spiritual. And I would really have to go into a lesson on spiritual power and go off into a whole nother, right field, man. I'd have to go into what the world ignorantly call UFOs, which are the angels. I'd have to go into, the attributes of the Lord, how he's coming back, what kind of body he's going to be in, the upgraded bodies we're going to receive, spiritual power, the power over the elements, being able to do things with your mind, earth bend, water bend, all that shit you see on TV. So that's a whole nother lesson. I want to kind of stick to this, let's go to Matthew 24 and we're going to wrap it up. Which we need to go into that. Lord's willing, this camp, I'm going to go into that. This camp I do on Saturday, man. So let's go. Salakia. Okay. It says, this is speaking directly to us, the elect. All these are the beginning of sorrows. This is 24 and 8. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Yeah, so there's many reasons why we're going to be delivered up. You're going to have these propagandists, these infiltrators, these agent provocateurs that are going to set the narratives. Us alone going out on the highways and hedges and goodness, man. Us going out on the highways and hedges and doing everything that we're doing, standing boldly before, which they call treason. Preaching these scriptures, the true doctrine is making us a target amongst our own people, and not, man, and without. And then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. And that's what you in fact groupies are doing. And you other Israelites that know the truth, that know you're Israelite, but won't take heed to the sound doctrine, to the true doctrine. You're showing that you're offended, and you're showing your betrayal horns, man. You're showing the spirit of betrayal. And many false prophets shall arise. Grandmaster J, man. And shall deceive many. Yeah, because it sounds appealing. Oh yeah, we're going to take up arms and we're going to deal with this ourselves. Look, they have radar guns, frequency guns that'll fry you from the inside out. They have drones. They have navies. They have Air Force. They got robots. So there's nothing you can do to take this kingdom down if you want. You just you're letting it be known that you're a soft target. Which these Edomites, I'd watched a video another brother posted where this Edomite was going into how easily it would be to take out that whole squad of you in fact dudes, saying how he would only need like 10 guys, something like that, to that effect, to take out all of you dudes. Here it is, you're out in the open, prancing around, just wanting to be seen of men, about what you gonna do. Pretty much barking, all bark, talking about how it would only take not even what he said. He said a matter of minutes to destroy you. Going into how these militias, these so-called white militias, how you want the smoke with these so-called white militias, these Edomite militias, how how well trained they are, it would be to take all of you out in a matter of minutes with just very few in numbers, because that's the blessing that Isaac had given Esau from the beginning, which Esau is the first man that came out looking like the so-called white man, came out of two so-called black parents, so-called black, because nobody's the color of black, you know. So many shall be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. And many false prophets, it don't say one, you're waiting on this one false prophet, this one guy. Oh, it's Donald Trump. No, it says many. If you speak against this word, if you're anti-Mashiach to the true doctrine, Mashiach means anointed one. Yahweh Shai, in whom the word ignorantly called Christ. That's what Christ means, anointed. Then you're a false prophet. Shall rise and shall deceive many. So, this is what I wanted to hit. This was that ancient world martial law, which we're in this gradualism stage in modern time, which this speaks about today, but it's speaking about yesterday as well. We're in modern Rome. These same people, which have learned from their forefathers, their Roman forefathers and Greeks, of how to rule. And this time they want to establish their new world order and they want to assert their dominance forever. If I'm lying, go look at Washington, D.C. Look at the different idols and holidays we worship. They're all after the similitude of Rome. You go through your weekdays, man. Saturday, going back to the Saturnalia. That's a Roman idol and god they used to go into. Sunday, the worship of the sun, same thing. This is where you get these stories of Zeus and all this and Thor and all this madness, which really goes back to ancient Babylon. Monday, the moon. I think Wednesday is the worship of Jupiter, or Tuesday, something like that, You go to Washington, D.C., it's built like Rome. When you go to these legislative branches of the cities, your courthouses and shit, it's like Rome. Your laws. If you want to be a doctor, biologist, you got to learn the Greek, the Latin. So let's read this. Let's start at 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. Yeah. And then shall the end come. Now, the end couldn't come, even though the scriptures say that over 2,000 years ago when the Lord came on the scene and died on the cross, those were the end days. But now we're in the latter end. So this is the time we're speaking about, when the gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world. Because at that time, the way the word was spread was through these gospels, these letters, which it was a consuming time that it took to get to one place to another. And mind you, the gospel didn't reach. These letters weren't brought over here to the west side of the world yet. So it couldn't have been talking about that time. You go into the breakdown of Psalms 19, it's going into the internet. We use that as the internet scripture. This is how the scriptures have been mainly pushed around the entire continent. The global, the internet has connected the whole global society. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So now we're in that time, unto all nations. This thing is worldwide now. And when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, who is that? That's talking about the so-called white man. The abomination of desolation. Desolation means to destroy. He's spoken of by Daniel the prophet, because it was spoken of in his time as well. Stand in the holy place. What's the holy place? The name of the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Shai, Psalms 91. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, the righteous runneth into it. So you have to know the name of the Lord. That's a clue. That's a clue, and that's a gift given unto the elect. It's not Jehovah or Ahia, you know what I'm saying? Joshua, all that madness, man. You know, whoso readeth, let him understand. Again, it's like a riddle. Do you understand what you just read, or did you just read it? You know. So when ye shall see the abomination that maketh desolate, because in the ancient world, you know, we had our temple that was actually built and established. You know, actual building. But the scriptures say that Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. So we are the temple. The Lord said, I dwelleth not in temple made by the hands of men. We are the temple of the Most High in these last days, because the prophecy is that we would be scattered and cast out of our land, and heathens would occupy our land, and that we would go into captivity as a nation. So now we're the temple, and we see the abomination of desolation. We see you so-called white people starting at your elites, raising up against the nation of Israel, and creating the false narratives, and setting the foundation for Jacob's trouble. Jeremiah the 30th chapter, a time that has been, we're going to read that. Let's get that real quick. Let's go to Jeremiah 30. And we're going to wrap it up. At last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And the only way you're going to be saved out of it is if the Lord sees you as one of the seed lines, one of the chosen of Jacob. Not just because you come out of that genealogy, but the Lord said, a Jew is not one outwardly, but inwardly. You do have to be from that genealogy, because the promise and the covenant was made between Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and his seed forever. But more so, you have to be right in your spirit. You have to be right in your heart, because the Lord will look at you as a heathen. That's why he said that. So what? You're an Israelite. You know, what your spirit do? You know what I'm saying? Alas, for this day is great, so that none is like it. And there's been some horrible times upon the earth, so there's not going to be a day like it. They're going to try to complete the genocide and the works that they haven't been able to complete on you Israelites, man. Which you can do some research and look up Rex 84. See what that's about. That's legislation that's getting ready to come to pass. You Israelites are going to be made homegrown terrorists. You're going to be deemed as terrorists, and need to be locked away in FEMA camps and put down. You know. So all I'm saying, doing this full lesson, is that it's all a setup. It's all a setup, man. It's all a setup. And there's so many scriptures I can get. Like I said, maybe if I had to sit and wrote this down, it'd be more explainable for you. But I'm just freestyling, and I'm gonna end it there, because I know Jake has a short attention span. You know. And with that, I want to say love, peace, and safety to the hopeful elect. Shalom.